learners, today we're going to talk about Python Lambda functions, but first we're going to start out with a real quick review of regular functions. Here I've got a function defined called double that you'll pass in a value x, and whatever you pass in gets multiplied by 2. So how would I call this function? On the next line, or maybe in another file even, I can call double and pass in a value and either store this in a variable and print that out, or I could just call print and then nest double in there and pass in the value that I want to double. So I'm going to double 5 and then I'll double 6. Great, but if I want to do a lambda function, it's going to be an anonymous function, which means it doesn't have a name. So we'll get rid of the name double. But we need to keep the input argument, the fact that it takes one input, and the body of the function, how it actually performs the action that we want. And another cool thing about lambda functions is they all happen on one line. So at the beginning of a lambda function, you're going to have lambda, and then however many inputs that you need for the function, and then what you want the function to do. So I'm going to store this function in that variable z, and if I want to call the function, I just need to pass a value in, like 5, or pass a value in like 6, and we can go ahead and run that lambda function and we're going to get the same answers. What if your function takes more than one input? Well, my sum function takes 2 inputs. So if I want to call that function, I'm going to have to pass 2 things in those parentheses. And we can go ahead and run it, and you'll see it adds 7 and 9 together. Well, how would I turn this into a lambda function? We said we have to start with the keyword lambda, and then whatever is being passed in those parentheses to the function, we might as well keep the same variable names. We can say that there's 2 things that you pass into the function. Just like your function has a colon, we'll put a colon here, and then keep the body of the function. Since my variable names are the same, the body of the function is going to be x plus y. So we could either store that into a variable, and then we can go ahead and call that function and print out the answer. This time we need 2 things in the parentheses because there are 2 inputs to that function. We could even do this on, instead of storing it in a variable z, I could just print, let me make sure my parentheses all match up, print this where I pass in 2 values. I don't like the look of that as well, but that will do the same kind of thing, where I'm going to add together my 7 and 5 and get 12. What if I've got an array of values? So let's go ahead and create an array, and let's say I want to run a certain function on all of these. Maybe I want to double them all or add 1 to all of them. Let's see if we can do that with a lambda function, so a function that we can do in just one line. I'm going to start it with lambda, and then I'm going to say let's double everything. So we have only one thing at a time that we're going to double. That's one input, and then we're going to multiply it by 2. So that's our function, and we want to do it for every item in that array. So I can say my result is going to be equal to, and then I'm going to call that function and pass 1 input into that function for all of my values in A. And then let's print the result. Oops, let's see, what did I make a mistake? Oh, I forgot the word in. For all those values in A. I said it out loud and then didn't type it. So all my values one at a time are going to be multiplied by 2. So the lambda functions, they're anonymous functions. Lambda functions, lambda expressions, you might hear either of those words. Anonymous, so they don't have a name. They can fit all on one line, which is kind of cool. Good luck, happy programming.